Throughout history, a composer interested in what was going on elsewhere either had to make an arduous journey there himself or rely on someone else making an arduous journey, perhaps bringing back a hand-copied manuscript. Recordings made this kind of cross-pollination a lot easier, and the internet has made it easier still. International boundaries have never been as loose and flexible as they are now. The modern English composer Sir John Tavener, for example, seems open to many influences, spiritual and musical. Tavener turned to the Eastern Orthodox Church in adult life, but his music remains wide open to the influences of other faiths. In his massive 7 or 8 hour all-night vigil, written for Stephen Layton and lots of singers and players, we find Tibetan horns and texts and musical ideas from all the world's major religions. Tavener simplified the vigil into a 2-hour concert work known as The Veil of the Temple, from which comes the tiny exquisite prayer on this program, sung to the Mother of God. This cross-border flexibility goes both ways. The Swedish composer Sven David Sandström has written a sort of coda or a reinvention of Hear My Prayer by Henry Purcell. Purcell wrote for theatre in the days of the English Restoration, but also had proper jobs at Westminster Abbey and the Chapel Royal. And even his sacred works, such as this one, demonstrate his flair for the dramatic. Sandström's piece is a beautiful example of cultural homage. Beginning with pure Purcell, the music works its way along until a point at which 20th century experiences break in. And it's as though Sandström is respectfully conversing with the older composer, as if to say, Baroque harmony just isn't enough to support this emotion anymore. The voices are overwhelmed with feeling, and the earlier structure cannot contain it and falls apart. We recognise the shell and the context as Purcell and Baroque, but the scale of the emotional response belongs to our expanded modern world. There are 2 other interesting examples of international music making I'd like to discuss. Morten Lauridsen has become probably the dominant choral composer of North America. There are a few reasons for this, not least that he writes simply gorgeous music, lovely to sing, delightful to know. As an academic, he studied medieval and Renaissance music, both eras which had exceptional vocal music, especially for unaccompanied voices. There's also a remarkable knowledge of poetry, which he describes as his second love after music. His nocturnes, premiered in 2005, include poetry by 3 great writers of the last century. The first, Sa Nuit d'été, Summer Night, sets poetry by Rainer Maria Rilke, one of his rarer French texts from when he was apparently working as Rodin's secretary in Paris. The third nocturne, Sure on This Shining Night, is a bold choice of poem for an American composer because Samuel Barber wrote an outstanding and well-known art song using these same words. However, Lauridsen's managed to sidestep any odious comparisons. He's written a work which even those who love the Barber will surely agree can stand on its own as an absolutely exquisite choral piece, allowing us just to marvel that the one text can inspire 2 such individual treasures. The other North American connection that Trinity College Choir have brought with them is simultaneously a British one. Herbert Howells must have seemed destined for great things as a prize-winning student at the Royal College of Music, but his brilliant career was abruptly interrupted by illness. On recovering, he returned to the RCM, where he taught composition for more than 50 years, alongside his own creative work and other posts at St Paul's Girls' School and St John's College, Cambridge. Howells had another defining moment in 1935 when his son Michael died suddenly of polio, aged only 9. The music from this point, once he could start writing again, so often seems to be about grief. If you know the hymn, "All my hope on God is founded," that's by Howells, and the name of the tune, a bit heartbreakingly, is Michael. So I think there's a rather personal quality to Howells' anthem, "Take Him, Earth, for Cherishing," even though it was written with not Michael, but John F. Kennedy in mind. Howells was asked to compose a new work to any text he liked for a dual American-Canadian memorial service for JFK to be held in Washington. He chose what he called the perfect text, a poem by the ancient Roman Prudentius in what he described as a faultless translation by Helen Waddell. The result is this anthem, and if you're not familiar with it yet, I'm sure you'll be glad to make the acquaintance of this radiant, heartfelt piece. It reminds us that one of the duties of composers is to find ways of expressing what we feel but can't express ourselves.